of Bodhisattva, regarding the practice of the path of the Bodhisattva. I'm paraphrasing, and please feel free to correct me. What part of it, or what is there an aspect of it, doing it materially, like feeding people, clothing them, housing them, taking care of them in some kind of practical way, and what element of it, or what mix maybe is the socially, talking to them and being present to them, which of course is deeply spiritual. This is a spiritual aspect as well. And then the last hook, when doing that, how do you not be presumptuous? Oh God. Wow. Okay, first of all, is there anyone in this room who wants a quick and dirty definition of Bodhisattva? Sure. Thank you so kindly. So, basically, with the advent, so when the historical Buddha was born, guess what? There were no Buddhists on the planet. And even he wasn't really a Buddhist, strictly speaking. But the people that studied under the Buddha were presented with a model. This is how you become a fully enlightened being, an Arahant, which means a worthy one. It's an old phrase from 2,600 years ago in ancient India. But the idea was, how do you live a life of increasing kindness, wisdom, and freedom? And these three things were deeply interlocked in the teachings of the Buddha and fed each other. So basically, to put it briefly, how do you walk this path to be less of a jerk yesterday than you were the day before, today, tomorrow? You know what I mean. Be less of a jerk. And that was the model. Later traditions started to examine this question. It's really interesting that the Buddha was a fully enlightened being, and he gave us this model of gradual practice, of eventually culminating in complete enlightenment and being a Buddha. But what if we don't make it? What if we have to keep practicing lifetime after lifetime? And so the idea was, well, when the Buddha referred to himself before his enlightenment, he would call himself the Bodhisattva. This old term, somebody who was cultivating the awakened mind, the awakened heart. Remember, Buddha just means awakened, the one who woke up. So later traditions made that their goal. It became like, it's no good if I get enlightened and I leave all my friends behind. That's no fun. How about I get enlightened and I keep being born and I stay here and I never leave this earthly plane and I just keep working for the awakening of all beings. This is this later model that became very popular. And the Bodhisattva archetype was talked about by great teachers, especially people like Shantideva, who produced a text called the Bodhicharya Avatara, which we translated as the way of the Bodhisattva. So this idea of, in the same way that you can imagine in Christianity, Christ called the people who would follow him to be like him. And so the cultivation of the path of the Bodhisattva, the cultivation of a life of increasing kindness, wisdom, and freedom. How much of it is practical, and how much of it is spiritual and social, and how do you do that without being presumptuous? The first part's easy. If you really want to cultivate the spiritual merit, the spiritual acumen, the spiritual energy of this path of awakening, then you should definitely, wherever and whenever possible, take care of people. The constant refrain, the constant mantra of the Bodhisattva is for the benefit and happiness of all beings. May all beings be happy. And the Buddha, in his genius, made it very clear that you are included in that category of all beings. Take care of yourselves, y'all. That's crucial. You cannot take care of all beings if you aren't taking care of yourself. So charity begins at home. That being said, you can do great charity. You can do great works of charity and hate the people that you are serving. And that's not good for you either. That's poisonous and probably pretty common. You can make a charitable donation to assuage some kind of guilt you feel in your heart about something you did. And I guess that's a little bit better. But still, acts of charity, acts of taking care of other beings, to be of spiritual value, have to be rooted in spiritual faculties, loving kindness, compassion, joy, the joy of others, and equanimity. So I would argue that there's no division between taking care of others practically and taking care of others spiritually, being present, being open, not turning away from others' suffering. But how do you, on the one hand, not be presumptuous, and on the other hand, not completely expend yourself and burn out like a white-hot fire, or develop crippling compassion fatigue and completely burn out and can't even serve yourself, let alone other beings? Everybody has to practice to their aptitude. And so there are probably very dangerous places in this world with people who really need a lot of help. And you could probably go there and get yourself killed. Probably not a great idea for your spiritual practice. Maybe you have just enough money to make rent, and you really have it burning in your heart to donate all your money to do something else, so now you'll be homeless. That's probably not great either. So, always balancing compassion on this path is wisdom. And unfortunately, wisdom isn't something you buy at the store, it's not something you get out of a book, and it's not even something you get here. I don't have it for you. I wish I did. I'm in short supply myself. Wisdom is gained by doing the dance, by step, hand over hand in the darkness, doing your best moment by moment. So, I don't know, that's a really hard thing. I'm terrible socially. I always assume I'm being presumptuous whenever I even talk to people. So I don't know, you're asking the wrong guy about that. But yeah, that's a really good question. It sounds like one of those questions that could make up the entire rest of your life. Sounds like a good way to go. I mean, we're all going to be dead anyway. So.